Greetings minions, this is Ryan and I'll be demonstrating how to carve with Sulky Stick and Carve. So as you can see, it looks like a standard sheet of paper. The size is 8.5 by 11 inches and you're able to print on just about any printer you may have. Here I'm using a laser printer, but you can use your DeskJet, inkjet, photocopy machine, basically anything you use to print your zombie pumpkins pumpkin patterns. Now I'm testing on a watermelon here. When I did this test, pumpkins were not in season yet, but the process is pretty much the same. So then you're going to peel back the release sheet, just like taking the backing off any sticker. Now you can see how very thin the stick and carve is. It's almost transparent, so it's helpful when placing it on your pumpkin because you can see what's behind the sheet. Now as I stick this down, you'll see I wasn't happy with how I positioned the bottom, so I peel it back up and then stick it back down where I want it. Now that's another nice thing about stick and carve. I would describe the adhesive as being sort of tacky. It definitely stays in place once you push it down, but as you're getting it into place, it's not set in stone, so if you need to peel it back up and reposition, that's possible. Now depending on the amount of curve to your pumpkin, you may need to pleat and crease the design in certain areas. Here I did that at the very bottom of the design in a point that would be inconsequential to the carving. There are no carved lines in that area. And then the very next step, start carving. I know for a lot of people the pattern transferring step is typically the least favorite part of the process. The old school method would have you be poking little holes all along the lines of the design before eventually removing the pattern and then trying to play dot to dot. And that works, but with stick and carve, you're able to get to work a lot faster because you're basically eliminating the transferring step. You just print out the pattern, stick it to your pumpkin, and then carve right through it. If you're concerned that cutting through the material would cause some resistance on your carving blade, hopefully this shows that you're able to slice right through it with no more resistance than you would with just the thick rind of the pumpkin anyway. In fact, look how fast and accurate I'm able to carve here, which is made possible partly by the fact that I'm using a Zombie Pumpkins Pro pumpkin carving tool, available now in the Shocking Shop. Here I am just showing you a few more detailed cuts here on these little jack-o'-lantern eyes. And at this point we have a nearly finished carving with all the pieces cut and removed. Next, you're going to want to peel off your stick and carve. As I mentioned, because the adhesive isn't too permanent, you can see that it pretty much just all peels right off the surface. Now, if you're not able to peel off all of it, or you're afraid to because some parts seem a little too delicate, that's where the trick comes into play. Because stick and carve is water soluble, you're able to put it in water and the material just dissolves away. In fact, I often recommend that you give your carvings a rinse in the sink anyway, because that tends to make the edges a little cleaner and helps hydrate your pumpkin. Now here's another scrap of stick and carve that I did just for a test, and I'm using a spray hose with warm water, so the force of the water and the warmth helps speed the process along here, but you could just run it under a regular faucet or even soak it in water to dissolve the material. Now, I know a lot of you like to carve foam pumpkins, so you might be wondering how stick and carve works in that scenario. So here I am using stick and carve on an artificial pumpkin with a electric heated blade, and as you can see, it is slicing through like butter because the material sort of melts away with the heat. It cuts right through flawlessly. And once again, because the adhesive is not too aggressive, you should be able to peel it off your foam pumpkin without any damage to the paint. Here I'm peeling it off and everything seems to be staying intact. As I get to the bottom here, where the lettering is on this logo pumpkin, I was concerned about peeling this off and possibly pulling off some of the more delicate bits of the design. So that's no problem. I'll just cut off the excess here and use the handy water rinsing option here. And once again, you can see the material just dissolving away. And finally, here's a couple shots of the final designs, cleaned up and lit up. And I should mention, this was my first time using Stick and Carve during this demonstration, and I'm pretty happy with how it worked. If you have any questions that I didn't cover in this video, feel free to email me and I'll help you out. Happy carving!